Hey everybody, welcome to the LAAGCast. We're the League of Above Average Gamers, and it is April 26th. I'm your host, Will, and I'm here with my best buddies, Max.
Hey, Will.
And Sam.
Yo.
So, we like to start off with the stupid thing of the week. So Max, would you like to talk about something stupid that happened this week?
Well, a lot of people might not think this is stupid, but I really think it's stupid.
I think it's stupid too.
Hank Azaria has bowed to the pressure put onto him by, I would dub them SJWs in this case, who have determined that the classic character of Apu is so much more offensive than all of the other stereotypes that make up the entire cast of The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
And so he has said in an interview that he would be perfectly willing to step down from voicing that character. Whether that means retiring the character or recasting, I do not know.
So what stereotype is safe in this world that we're now entering?
All I know is that Scotland loves Groundskeeper Willie so much.
I know.
That's awesome.
And frankly, like, I've never heard of a Hindu or an Indian or anyone who disliked Apu. It's always these white SJW maniacs.
It is this based on this documentary by an Indian comedian who, it's like an hour-long documentary called The Problem with Apu. And he goes around and interviews a bunch of other Indian celebrities and other people, and they all talk about how, they were afraid to go into convenience stores with their friends because the Apu jokes might start coming out, or like they would be getting mocked in school. And we can't speak to that experience if that was really happening. And honestly, if that really was happening, then that is bad. But on the other hand,
did this guy go out and be like, I'm gonna prove that Apu is racist. I'm gonna find the other 100 people who agree with me.
Yeah,
and get them all on tape.
And he found, other big ones like Kumail Nanjiani. I know is on the documentary, and he's also a big proponent of this. And he's pretty much as big as it gets as far as mainstream Indian entertainers right now.
Who is he?
He made that movie The Big Sick.
I'm not familiar.
He's on Silicon Valley.
Okay, I know that guy, yes.
He does a very good X-Files podcast. It's funny because I listened to many episodes of it before I realized that it was him, even though then his name is in the name of the podcast itself.
It's one of those names.
Yeah, so I'm a real dummy.
Yeah.
But no, it is true. Like, he basically was offended and went out and found other people who were offended, and they're upset about it. And I just feel bad for Hank Azaria. Because it's so not his fault, but what do you do in this situation?
You don't say anything. You just keep doing the art, and you don't give the critics anything to use.
Well, and the Simpsons episode from 2 weeks ago addressed the controversy directly and gave pretty much the opposite statement that Azaria gave. So this was him on his own, and he even said that he didn't like that episode. He didn't agree with them deciding to address it that way. So it's dumb.
Yeah, sounds like we may have identified another potential SJW. Be on alert, SJW hunters.
Seriously, don't attack anybody.
Yeah, really.
Anyway, let's cheer up with some video game news.
All right, some video game news. Well, I liked some news I read this week, because apparently Super Smash Bros., among some other games, will be showing up at E3. Some of these are potential, but Final Fantasy VII Remake and Kingdom Hearts 3 are among those games that they're saying might be there.
Oh, how many years Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be there? It's such a joke at this point.
But we've seen more now at this point. They've given us more than ever before in the last, 6 months.
You can say that, but until I actually see it, it's going to be exactly like all the people going to Coachella for the last 10 years saying, but maybe Daft Punk will show up.
But Super Smash Bros. For sure. That's 100%.
Oh, yeah. Nintendo doesn't lie.
Yeah, Nintendo does not lie. That's going to be a real good one.
Yeah.
Because we know next to nothing except for that one poster that or screenshot, wasn't really even a poster, that they posted up on Twitter that one time. Mm-hmm. And if they're showing off the game, they're showing off the characters, and we're going to learn a lot at the next E3.
I wonder how many Final Fantasy characters will be in it this time.
Oh, man. Yeah, really. Apparently, it might just be a free-for-all, really an insane amount. People are... that's the rumor going around, and rumors don't often come out of the Japanese studios, but sometimes.
I wonder how much money Nintendo made on the paid DLC extra characters for Smash Bros. Versus like any other time they've done any kind of paid DLC, because I bet it was a lot more.
Yeah. Cloud, everybody wanted Cloud, because Cloud's the best character.
Yeah, so I can see them launching with a big roster and then really starting to dig for... I mean, how many more Pokemon can we squeeze into this, guys? What are they at, like 5 so far?
Pokemon fighting
sometimes
game.
they remove Pokemon.
Yeah, but shouldn't Red himself become a playable character? Or is that a thing, Pokemon Trainer?
Pokemon Trainer was a thing, and he used Squirtle,
Right,
Ivysaur,
I remember that.
or Charizard.
Yeah, so
but
he'll
they
be back.
removed him from games after that one. That was
Is that Brawl?
Brawl. And then Wii U version didn't have that. They just added Charizard.
Right.
Which I didn't like that because I thought Squirtle at least was great.
You know, Nintendo could really make a killing if what they decided to do was make a Smash Bros. With like a specific, like, let's say they have a lot of characters, like 100 characters or something that they want to put in the game. So they make one Smash Bros. That has these 40 and another that has these 40 the next year. And then the next year they release another that has, you know, a mix and match plus the 20 remaining. Every single one of those games would sell like crazy. Nintendo could make a fortune.
That doesn't seem like the kind of move they'd make, though.
Well, they're getting a new CEO. Brand new, very young CEO.
Yeah, but we'll see. But I can't imagine
You're right.
them modifying their whole
It's
sort
a
of business model.
that would be an American developer move,
That's
not
what I'm
a
saying.
Japanese developer move.
Yeah, that's an EA move that you're describing.
Yeah.
But let's go back to Final Fantasy news here. Tell me about the second piece of news.
All right, so the Final Fantasy VII remake is not going to be like a dedicated 100%, you know, graphical and updating and plus making the gameplay run a little smoother. There might be some actual serious changes to the game, according to this job posting, apparently.
Well, I mean, even in the little tiny bit of tech demo that we've seen, like of just Cloud hopping off the train and running down a hallway or whatever it is, like that looks so drastically different.
Well, it's obviously gonna.
That's camera angles. That's making it a moving camera instead of the set fixed camera from a higher angle. That's already like you have to. You know, it was pre-rendered 2-dimensional backgrounds, so they had to build the whole thing essentially into 3 dimensions.
Oh yeah, but I mean, that's I wouldn't say we wanted them to make a remake that's better graphics, but it still frames the whole game looking down at your characters.
This is better, but it also has a higher margin for error.
True.
But what I feel like we're describing is just what the remake would have been imagined, which is they're moving it from that 2D-ish universe into the full 3D, fully built world.
Right.
And this makes it seem like they're going to actually... Like, the way people were reacting, it made it seem like they were going to change it in such a way that the game itself is going to be different. Can you get what I'm saying?
I guess. So a dedicated remake is more accurate to the previous.
Yes,
version,
and this is not going to try to be that accurate. Maybe moving like actual elements around. Maybe you go to a different area or something along those lines. That was the impression people were kind of getting.
Man, what do you call this game? Like Final Fantasy VII Advance? Final Fantasy VII... Because you can't just call it Final Fantasy VII HD or whatever, like if they're doing this much work.
Reloaded. Final Fantasy VII
Reloaded. Moving on.
It's not Jojo Cerberus. Valve acquired Firewatch development studio Campo Santos. Yeah, I know, right? Not great news.
So Valve says they're going to be doing new games, and it turns out that they're going to be doing narrative-based, non-action games that can be made cheaply and released on Steam for Boku bucks.
I'm not surprised, frankly.
We'll see.
Campo Santos is actually made up of a lot of the original people from Telltale Games. So they're essentially the people who started Telltale and made that first really successful Walking Dead one. So apparently they quit that studio because the studio didn't want to upgrade stuff and they wanted better, a better game engine to use. So Valve is probably going to pay out and they're going to try and maybe make something better than their original success.
I have all those Telltale Sam & Max games they made. I've just never actually played them one of these days.
Yeah, eventually. They're buffing up your Steam library.
Yeah, exactly. Quite a few because it's individual episodes.
Yeah. Right. Oh. So a while back, Bethesda was getting a lot of crap from people because they wanted to sell community-made mods.
I remember that.
And Blizzard has begun selling community-made mods in StarCraft 2.
So do the people who make those mods get paid?
I actually don't know, but I know that in the case of the Bethesda controversy, the people who are making the mods were going to get paid, but they were just so outraged that Bethesda was going to take any money at all that it ended up being shut down.
Damn, that sucks, because that could be a good way for people to kind of like get a little break in and, you know, get paid for doing some work. And that you would foster like a real cool community, I feel like.
Since I haven't seen any controversy, I've just seen the article that was not very detailed.
Yeah.
I will assume that Blizzard probably is paying the developers.
I would assume so. There's got to be something. Like maybe it's like a one-time payment though. Like hey, just we'll pay you $400, and but then that's it. Like you send over the rights.
And then they make a fortune off.
And then they sell it. A lot less than that. But yeah, eventually.
I mean, that's Blizzard. Make a lot of money. They like to do that.
It's not the worst.
Yeah, but isn't StarCraft 2 a mainly multiplayer online experience?
Yeah.
Or if you have a mod and they don't have a mod, are you going to be able to play together?
Well, I guess it would depend on the mods largely, but also there's a huge amount of custom game community and beyond in StarCraft. So I'm certain that either campaign or custom games support these mods.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah. And then last piece of news is just good news for me and you, Max. Dark Souls Remastered is going to be half off on Steam if you own the original.
I wonder if the Steam will let you gift it to somebody at that price.
I bet not. Steam is pretty well coded. And that's, at least in that regard.
Interesting, yeah.
They're not letting anyone break through the system.
Yeah, interesting. But yeah, since I was going to be picking that up anyway, and it seems like it's going to be only $39.99, half off makes it pretty good at $20.
Yeah, what a deal.
Definitely worth picking up, and I'm sure that'll boost quite a bit of the day one sales.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So on that note, how about we talk about some video games we've been playing?
Yeah. You want me to go first?
How about Sam? What have you been playing, Sam?
I've been playing Final Fantasy 15, so...
how's that going?
So it's good. I'm now further than I've ever gotten before, so that's a plus.
Further than you've ever gotten?
Right. Back when I played the PlayStation version, I stopped about 40 hours in. Now I'm past that point in my current game on Steam after probably about 25 hours.
And what point is that?
When you first leave the continent and get to Listalum. The city of Listalum, which I was hoping a little bit would be a little bit better. I'm not a big fan of the...
Alticia?
Right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Alticia.
There we go.
Right, Listalum is that...
is the main
the market.
Right, the market town. Right, I went to Alticia, and I'm not a big fan of the gondolas.
So dumb. Hate the gondolas. It's such a pointless thing. And the city itself is like this weird maze. But it's like more like a dungeon, because it's not like there's a bunch of cool stuff to find. They've just got some items scattered around.
Right.
What's the problem with the gondolas?
They're
slow.
Yeah, they're a stupid time-wasting thing.
Okay. Got it.
It's literally just an excuse to have your characters get in, like, a mode of conveyance, because that's the theme of this game, and, like, take a very short ride to a very nearby place that's made artificially far away, because you have to take the gondola down, like, the streets of the city, so...
Right, all those water streets, because it's Venice.
Yeah, that's outrageous.
Yeah.
They shouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Yeah.
I'm skipping all those.
Yeah.
So, Max, you've also been playing Final Fantasy 15.
Yes, as of 2 nights ago, I finished the entire main story campaign.
All right.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts overall. The game felt very rushed at the end. Both you as a player are being rushed into the end game events, but it also seems like disastrously not filled out. There are so many times when you're feeling like you're only getting a chunk of the story, or too much of the story is being delivered to you way too quickly because they need to get all this information out there in order for the story to make a lick of sense.
Right.
it really felt like it needed another maybe like 10 to 12 hours of main campaign content. A huge problem is that there's only the one continent you can drive around on. The game teases you by saying, oh, we're going to take this boat ride to another continent and do other stuff, but all that continent ends up being is one city, one very cool city. When you're going into the city the first time, and it's got that suspended bridge that's channeling the water so that you can take a boat into the suspended city. Like, that's really, really cool. It's an excellent Final Fantasy visual.
Right. But, yeah, doesn't it seem like they had planned out, like, eventually to have, when the game was released, to have many continents.
Right, as most do.
Right, like, you have your first continent, which is, like, maybe a mid to large-sized continent. And then you have another mid-sized continent and a small-sized continent.
Right.
And then maybe some islands with some extra hard monsters for endgame stuff.
Right, a secret dungeon out there.
Right.
And, I mean, here's a huge problem with the game. You don't get your airship until after completing the campaign. The airship isn't available until post-game. That doesn't make any sense for Final Fantasy.
If you can even call that an airship.
I mean, it's this game's airship. I mean, it's better than 12, where you never even saw, you were just taking blimps at the airport all the time, or whatever it was.
True.
Yeah. But, I mean, the thing about it is that despite all these problems, it is a really, really fun game to play. I am continuing to play the endgame content. I did go get that airship. I am doing some of the harder hunts.
Right.
I'm planning on taking down the stupid adamantoids because the battle system is so freaking fun to play.
Agreed.
And now that there aren't any story cutscenes to worry about getting to or having to sit through, the game can really kind of focus on all the stuff that's good about it. And the game itself even knows that this is the best part, because when you beat the game and watch the ending cutscene, which is oppressively dark, like they try to give it this light ending by doing a weird thing that makes no sense.
No.
But then you run through all the credits, and then you get to the post-credit scene, which is your 4 guys back at camp the night before you went on the final battle, at which the game had skipped beforehand, like it didn't show it to you at the time on purpose, because that conversation between Noctis and the other 3 is the real ending of the game. Like, that's the emotional climax of the game. One fun thing it does is that it allows you to select one of the pictures you've been taking throughout all of the journey, like all the ones you've been saving.
Yeah.
Before he goes through the final battle, Noctis asks Prompto if he can look through the photo so that he can grab one to take with him. And then during the ending cutscene, Noctis hands this photo to somebody in a very like sweet, supposedly like heartfelt way. But since you can select any photo that you've taken the entire time, you can do any kind of fun things you want. Like you can hand you're handing the photo to Luna, Noctis's wife, fiance, but you can make him Noctis hand her a photo of the chick from the gas station.
That is funny. That is pretty good.
So it's got a lot of interesting things, but man, that ending gets dark, guys. Like, it really does a whole, like, oh, you thought that everything was cool and you liked all these characters during all of the first 9 chapters? Well, now we're going to take everything away from you one by one.
Yeah, I have a problem with that. I feel like most Final Fantasies, they get dark, but there's always, it always inspires hope.
Right. No, this one I felt was very, very down.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it wasn't anti-Final Fantasy, but it was surprisingly dark for a Final Fantasy.
I see it.
No, one cool... Sorry, go ahead.
I kind of feel like I played the game the right way, and I plan to go back and play more.
By not continuing the story?
I did the story to the level 10 story missions, and then I stopped, and I just only did side stuff all over the place. I did all the side stuff, and I'm level 45, and that's all I've done. And I've had a great experience in that game, to the point that, I've played for a couple days, and I've been playing a different game, and I still want to go back and play more.
Yeah, but you got to get through that story if you want to unlock more side stuff is the thing.
Right, and if you want all the best items, all that stuff ends up being post-game. So,
exactly.
That's when it really opens up.
Right. Plus those extra dungeons within the dungeons that you've already been to.
Right.
I'm very curious about those and have not yet gotten to see what that's all about.
Now, one thing I realized today
Yeah.
that was very cool when I realized it, because the game plays it very subtly, but this game could almost be seen as the explaining the origin story for the Knights of the Round summon that from Final Fantasy VII.
Really?
Because, now I'm going into super spoiler territory here.
All right.
At the end of the game, Noctis summons basically all of the former kings of the previous kings of Lucis as basically as summoned beasts.
Cool.
And one by one, they go in and attack the enemy. Ka-ching, 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 and they've all got this specific, different, ornate armor. And I'm sitting there going like, oh wait, since this game is playing the summons so much into the plot of everything, and having Bahamut is the ultimate like god king of the Ifrit is sort of like the fallen devil, like
Right.
and these guys, which Noctis essentially becomes at the end.
Right, one of them.
Are the Knights of the Round summoned.
All right.
So that is stuff like that.
That is very good. That right there is very Final
Even if I'm
Fantasy.
just making it up.
But still, it's like any connection that you can make is something great in this situation because the developers can make things for the fans.
Right.
Right. And anything that makes it feel like it exists in the same universe that all Final Fantasies exist in, if they all exist in the same universe, even though they don't.
Yeah.
But maybe they could. And I like that idea.
Yeah. Which ones? Some of them exist in the same universe. Like Tactics is far in the future of Final
12.
Fantasy 12.
That's true.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Will?
Yeah.
Been playing anything?
Yeah, I've actually been playing a very enjoyable game.
Yes.
So I went and I picked up God of War, which I was not planning on getting originally.
Oh, okay.
But I went and I bought it because the day it came out, nobody had anything bad to say. And I'm like, that's a good sign. If everyone is saying this is a great game, nobody has a single criticism, like, yeah, I'm going to go get this game.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, I have a criticism, which is the fact that I felt the game took a little too long to wind up. Because I felt I played for like 4 hours before I really got into it, and it was kind of just a little bit grueling, but not too bad. But then once the games really got going, I started to have a lot of fun. I think one of the main reasons I felt this way was because early on you really just have throw axe, swing axe, or swing axe hard. But as you play through the game, you get experience, which you can use in the skill tree, which is literally just skills. It's like, be able to swing your axe this way, swing your axe that way, shoot arrows that are stronger, or shoot arrows faster, because your son is with you shooting arrows.
Right.
And as I get more of these, the combat really, like, it gets intense and it grows, and I have so many different things that I can do. And the combat is the highlight of the game. It's really enjoyable. Every fight is fun. Fighting the little guys is fun, even though in a lot of ways, like Dark Souls, you end up just rolling around, dodging their attacks and getting swings in when you can. It's like Dark Souls is fun because the combat is fun, and they have taken the best aspects of Dark Souls, of the Dark Souls combat at least, and really expanded outward.
So you can die that easily?
You can die fairly easily. I think the main thing is that fights can go on for a long time, and there's a real lack of healing that you can pick up a lot of times. So if you're not really good at dodging those attacks,
You get worn down.
You get worn down, and I find myself pretty good at getting low on health, and then really kicking it into gear and not getting hit again until I can get some healing, because they'll occasionally drop a healing item or something like that. But
We used to call that the one lucky life effect in the 90s.
Yeah, but I die a lot. I really do die a lot.
Okay.
Not so much now. I feel I'm getting a lot better at the game. And also, I have pretty good gear and all the skills and all that. But early on, yeah, I was dying a lot. But yeah, I actually just beat what I consider to be kind of like the first real boss. I might have fought a boss earlier, but it wasn't really that hard. But I just went up against a big dragon, and it was the first thing to me that really felt like an intense boss fight. And it was a lot of fun. It wasn't like a Dark Souls boss, though.
Right.
It was not just a straight up, avoid its attacks and beat it as fast as you can. It was definitely every 2 bars of health, the puzzle is going to change, and you solve the puzzle, and there's still a lot of dodging and attacking and throwing things the right way. But overall, it was more of a solve the puzzle of the dragon, more so than beat the dragon in a fair fight.
Right.
But yeah, I'm enjoying the game a lot. It has kind of like this world that is trying to mimic an open world while still having you on rails.
Right.
Because it's totally got a map and a compass, like, an open free world game. It's not like that at all, though, because it sends you down a lot of caves and stuff, and it sends you down, like, these paths across bridges, and occasionally it lets you loose. I pick up a side quest, and I can go grab the boat, and I can sail the boat down the river, which leads to a cave. And it makes it feel like I'm kind of out in the open world, because I have all these directions I can go, but they're all straight lines, and so it still keeps me on rails. But I think that they did a really good job of creating that kind of free effect, at least after the first 4 hours when the game opens up.
And the paths, they wrap around a lot, right?
Oh, yeah. One of the best things that I found so far was that in Midgard there was this, like, broken down, I guess, trolley type thing that would take me up the mountain. And once I made it to the top of the mountain, I ran into a witch who made all the vines go away and made the trolley work, which cut out a huge chunk of time for travel. And at that point I was like, man, this is Dark Souls 1. It's just going to give me a lot of these. And I think it really is going to do that. And I even like the fast travel. The fast travel is interesting because you walk through a doorway onto the world tree, and then you run to another side of the world tree to take a doorway to where your destination is.
Makes you run on the world map.
It's a little bit of a waste of time, but I like it for the aesthetic. I think it was a good addition.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't break the fiction.
Yeah. And the thing I was most worried about was the kid. Because it's like, I'm going to be escorting a kid the whole time, and he's just going to be annoying.
He's an invincible drone.
Yeah, he's an invincible drone. He's not so bad. He talks a little bit, but he doesn't talk too much. And frankly, his voice isn't that annoying, so that's very beneficial.
Well, if he's Kratos' son, he's not going to be annoying.
Yeah, exactly. The kid is also like a super genius, so that helps a lot with the not annoying factor.
Is the kid just a regular mortal?
As far as I can tell, but he has a bizarre understanding of language. Like, he seems to speak a lot of language, or not speak, but be able to read a lot of languages and write them. So he's just super smart.
Right. Kratos can't read or write at all.
Yeah.
But he's not from there. And it seems like he might be immortal in this one as well.
Yeah, the kid takes straight up punches from giants to the face, and he just stands back up, and it's hilarious.
They're demigods.
Right, demigods.
Yeah, but the kid is useful overall, and as I said, he's really not that annoying. He'll call out when people are gonna hit me in the back and things like that, which is pretty useful.
Yeah.
They have the on-screen indicator, which is actually really clear, but oftentimes I don't even look at it because I know the kid is gonna shout out when something's coming from my back. And yeah, that's great. I can immerse myself.
How about the story? Are you skipping cutscenes, or...?
You cannot skip a single cutscene in this game. In fact, I saw a news article that was talking about the fact that the speedrunners have already gotten this game under 10 hours, but because they can't skip a single cutscene, it's just driving them insane. It's all cutscenes.
Amazing.
I know. But yeah, the overall story is, it's okay. Like, mild spoilers, because this is what you learn really early in the game. Your wife died, the boy's mother, and you get some of her ashes, and she always wanted to visit the top of this mountain. And so you and your son, who is unprepared for the journey, as you say, decide to go and trek up the mountain to spread her ashes at the top.
We don't know what killed her?
No, I don't believe we do know what killed her. But I think it was more of a natural death.
Right.
It really does seem like it. But on their way up the mountain, they run into some problems, which are mostly linked to Norse mythology. Odin has set up the black breath on the mountain, which nobody can walk through, so I have to figure out how to clear out the black breath. And Thor did something to, like, drown an area, so I have to figure out how to lower the water level. I haven't gotten to fighting any actual gods yet, but I think it's going in that direction. At least I hope it's going in that direction.
As a God of War game, that's something that you can definitely hope.
Count on. Yeah.
And beside combat, the other gameplay mechanic is puzzle solving. It gives you lots of puzzles, and most of the puzzles are optional, actually. I feel at least like they're optional. Like, occasionally I need to solve an actual puzzle to progress. A lot of the time it's to find, like, a secret room or a chest that gives me better items and upgrades for my axe and stuff like that. And I think one of the reasons the game has gotten a lot easier for me is the fact that I've solved a lot of these puzzles, and therefore I have a lot of these better items.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I like the reward-based questing.
Yeah, and so yeah, like, I may continue to play the game, so I'll have another update next week, but I think the game's really good so far, and I would give it, off the bat, so far, like an 8 out of 10, but I think that rating can definitely go up depending on how the game progresses.
Yeah, you're really early.
Yeah, I think I'm like 8 hours. 6 to 8 hours.
How many hours do you think this game is?
I would assume it's like a full-length game, so probably like 40.
Oh, well, full-length action games versus a full-length RPG are different.
Well,
I think it's an RPG, like?
I'm taking my time, so I think I can get 40 out of it.
All right, got it. Understood.
I played God of War 2 back in the day. I don't feel like it was a short game by any means, even for beat 'em up.
You know, a good measurement here is the fact that there's like 9 areas overall, plus Midgard, which is my home base. And I have been to one of these other areas so far, and I don't think I even did everything there.
Understood.
Yes.
I can probably go to like Jotunheim and Asgard.
Yeah.
And you're on Midgard.
Exactly. It's gonna be a real fun journey.
They weren't all Norse gods before, right?
No,
it was always Greek mythology in the previous God of War games. I guess Kratos decided to move.
Yeah, and on the trek up the mountain, the witch actually comments on the fact that these are not the gods you're used to, or something like that.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, yeah, great game.
Cool.
Yeah, so, what do you say we take a break, folks?
Yeah, short break sounds good.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the show, folks. Now it's time for some TV and movie news. Do we have any this week, guys?
We have a bunch of news.
All right. Well, I think we should get into it. Max, how about you give us one?
Apparently they've announced that the Aquaman movie, we've been getting some details for it, and I guess it's going to be about sort of a sibling rivalry where Aquaman and his brother Ocean Master are going to be competing for the throne of Atlantis.
Who's Ocean Master?
Ocean Master Orm.
Ocean Master. Orm, I believe is his name. Ocean Master. You know, classic Aquaman villain Ocean Master. Ocean Master! This isn't ringing any bells? Come on, Batman has Joker. Superman has Lex Luthor. Aquaman has Ocean Master.
Everyone knows.
Everyone knows.
Well, I don't know who Aquaman's enemy is in the first place.
Now, personally, I've always considered Black Manta to be the Aquaman's enemy because he's in Super Friends.
Right. He's awesome.
That makes sense to me.
But Black Manta is just like an assassin with a diving suit. I don't think he has any inborn abilities. So having it be Ocean Master means that we can get some good underwater superhuman combat.
Yeah, they need someone with some actual powers.
Right.
They're bubble fights.
Bubble fights.
I get it.
In other news, Infinity War has raked in $139 million in one day.
Now, is that just Thursday showings? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, whatever they consider the first day.
I wonder if that means Friday also.
Well, we know that they had a ridiculous amount of pre-sales, so those might also be wrapped up into this number somehow, even like ones that haven't technically happened yet.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
But either way, 139 million already is insane.
Yeah, that's we're looking at real high numbers here.
Jurassic
World numbers, even.
That's the throughout the world. Actually, I believe in 3 different countries, it is the best first day ever. But only 3 is kind of shocking to me.
Yeah, interesting. I really do wonder where it's going to end up here.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
but no matter what, it's going to do really well.
Well, yeah, it's been building up for so long.
In Star Trek related news, Paramount was having some sort of an event today. Where they revealed that there are definitely 2 Star Trek movies currently in the works. They did not, however, confirm whether or not one of these 2 movies was, in fact, the rumored Quentin Tarantino script.
They did not?
They did not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we don't know if that's actually a third in development or if they're counting that. But in more interesting news revealed at the event, apparently they showed some footage from the beginning of filming of the next season of Star Trek Discovery, which has revealed that Captain Pike of the USS Enterprise is going to be wearing a command yellow uniform, not a stupid Star Trek Discovery uniform.
Oh, that's nice.
So,
No blue and gold.
But it does look like another movie with the Chris Pine crew is moving forward, and Paramount has previously said that they want to bring Chris Hemsworth back and do a time travel plot for their fourth movie.
Oh, well, that's nice too.
Yeah, I like time travel plots.
I mean, Star Trek 4 is a time travel plot, classically, so it would make sense thematically.
Yeah, and I always was a big fan of First Contact.
Yeah. So Trek is one of the few franchises that overwhelmingly does time travel very well.
Yeah, it's true.
They invented all the cliches that everybody's so annoyed about now.
That is true. So I don't mind when they do it again.
Right.
Then in Star Wars related news,
Alden Wars.
Aaron Rachels.
Aaron Reich?
Aaron Reich.
We should be able to pronounce this. Guys.
Aaron Reich.
Yeah, Aaron Reich.
All right.
The new Han Solo.
Yeah.
He has stated that he will be continuing to play Han Solo in 2 more upcoming movies.
Are they making a Solo trilogy? The Solo trilogy? Oh, God.
It's adorable that Alden thinks that he's going to get to do this more than once.
He's saying already signed.
I'm sure he signed, but that doesn't mean they have to make the movies.
Okay, that's actually a good point.
Depending on how well Solo does, what the reaction is from critics and fans.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, more fans.
Fans.
So you think they're just trying to garner some extra hype?
I mean, he can't be expensive.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, you want me to be Han Solo? I'll pay you! Yeah, and then in the last piece of news, Netflix is creating Fast and Furious because their algorithm said that this is profitable.
I love it because this harkens back to the day of this is going to be an animated Fast and the Furious.
Yes, animated.
For like the whole family to watch.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
this reminds me of like when you would have RoboCop, the TV series about, it was a cartoon for children based on this movie
Men
that
in
children
Black.
couldn't watch, Men in Black. Right. Like there's a great tradition of adapting fully adult franchises into bite-sized kid-friendly form.
I have a feeling this is not going to be kid-friendly, though.
Dude, it has to be. The announcement I saw did say it was going to be family-oriented.
Really?
It's animated, bro. Netflix does animation for kids.
Okay, maybe.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Weird.
It's going to be like Mask. Like they're all going to have crazy cars, I bet. That like do special things because all the stuff you can't do in live action,
Right.
that you can get away with in animation. Like they're going to be come on, they're going to have a flying car.
And super boosters and things.
Yeah,
Okay,
rocket engines
that's
coming
fair.
out and yeah.
All the tech, all the mods.
One last piece of news though.
Oh, yeah.
Which is unfortunate. Is that Starz did announce that Ash vs. Evil Dead is canceled going forward. Season 3 is going to be the final season
Yes.
of Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Very disappointing to fans everywhere.
Bruce Campbell says that he's not going to fight it.
Yeah, there was... I feel like it's a large piece of the reason that this week we did not watch any Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Yes.
Solidarity.
Yes, a week of solidarity where porn went out for Ash vs. Evil Dead. I hope that, like the previous seasons, they saw this as a possibility and crafted a finale that could serve as a finale.
Right. I got a feeling like they didn't, but we can hope.
We'll see, won't we?
Yeah. Well, I did not watch anything this week, guys, but how about you?
Well, I've got 2 things. I'll say one of them to start, which is that I did watch the finale of Legion pretty much the next day after we recorded the last episode.
Episode 8?
Episode 8
All
of
right.
the first season.
All right.
And I just have to repeat everything I said before about how absolutely perfect this show is. The casting, the visual effects, the acting itself, the plot, like it's super tight. There isn't a single wasted minute. There's no fluff. The story is intelligent and handled in a very cool way, and it's a story you could only do with these characters with these kind of powers. It's everything you'd want from a comic book adaptation, and I would definitely hold it up with X2, Deadpool, and Logan as like the best live action anything we've gotten out of the X-Men franchise.
We might have gone over this a little bit, but how much actual powers are there in this show?
Well, there's the supporting cast who are all single power characters. Sid Barrett, who has the ability to switch bodies.
All right.
The Loudermilk siblings, which is the Native American girl who can come out of the Caucasian man.
Right, you mentioned that.
The Flight of the Conchords guy
Yes.
is playing a psychic.
Right.
And but our main character, Legion, His name is indicative of his powers, which is that he has an almost undetermined number of powers, and each one is linked to a specific personality within his schizophrenia.
Oh.
So he has pretty much anything you can think of. In the show, he exhibits teleportation, matter manipulation. He can put people to sleep. He can create energy blasts. He blows a lot of things up. He can teleport objects without himself being attached to them. He can enter the astral plane. He is telepathic as well as telekinetic.
So he is the power.
Yes, and he's one of those characters with a huge power level but huge weakness, which is that he is a paranoid schizophrenic.
All right. Wow.
Yeah, but man, when Legion has got his whole... Like, when he's got his mind in order, he's got his thoughts right, like, that dude is literally unstoppable. That's kind of the point of the show, is that everyone wants to use this guy's powers. Like, the good mutants want him on their side. The evil government agency wants to use his powers or kill him if they can't. The Shadow King wants to take his body and use it for his own. It's next level. And the music budget has got to be out of this world, because after our last week I talked about how Pink Floyd-esque the show was.
Yeah.
Episode 8 goes into a sequence where we're diving into David's mind, and it's set to the beginning of Dark Side of the Moon. Breathe.
Wow.
So, and it's next level. You guys must watch it. You are doing yourselves a disservice.
I think we're going to have to do that.
I am mad that I didn't watch it before. And if you guys catch up, then I think we can go ahead and watch season 2 together, because that's coming out. I think there may be 4 episodes in currently.
Okay. Yeah. I think we can catch up pretty fast.
So. Yeah, definitely. And I'll need to make up a little for not having anything this week.
Right. What about you, Sam?
I didn't watch too much this week. I did continue to watch Jojo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yes, we didn't talk about
Part 2.
Any of the Joseph saga.
Right. Joseph, grandson of Jonathan Joestar, is the star of Part 2. And the enemy of Part 2 is the Pillarmen, who created the stone masks that gave Dio his powers in Part 1.
Right.
So this is truly a follow-up. But it's pretty good. Joseph is a little bit more of a jolly trickster than was his grandfather, who was such a noble
guy. Not quite the gentleman.
Right. All about honor and that.
Yep.
But no, he's a very compelling main character. One of his main tricks is to tell his opponent whatever they are going to say next, at which point they then say it and are then shocked that he was able to tell
what
did this.
Yeah, I love that. Your next line is.
That's hilarious.
And then the Pillarmen are pretty cool themselves. They seem to be immortal guys.
Yep.
With special powers all of their own. There's 4 of them in the season. Santana being the first one that they find.
Yes.
And beating him fairly quickly, but not before he crawls into the leg of a German soldier in order to escape from the sunlight, and then having to be exploded.
Out of Stroheim's leg.
Which, yeah, it's just brutal.
Yeah.
And then we get 3 more Pillarmen after that. Santana was the first one.
Yeah.
We get Cars, Wamu, and... AC/DC, right.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Each one of them seems to be more powerful than the last, having their own tricks. And Joseph gets to pair up in this season with the grandson of another character from season 1, Baron Zeppeli. He pairs up with Caesar Zeppeli, who is... Pretty good guy.
Yes, good old Caesar Antonio.
Yeah, it seems a little bit vain.
Yeah.
A little
very
bit of a
French
rich boy.
Yeah,
it's very French. His main trick is pretty cool, though. He always has a thin layer of soap on his clothes at all time, which he can take his ripple power and throw that soap in bubbles with his ripple power through that, which does a lot of damage to enemies.
So this is like my nightmare, the guy who just dries out my skin all day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great season. Very much stands up to the quality of Part 1.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how they are so willing to completely throw out everything and start fresh and manage to get up to the level that they've gotten to before.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, in the comics, I'm 3 volumes into Stardust Crusaders, and it is so different from either of the first 2 volumes, and yet it's so Jojo.
So Jojo.
Yeah,
so I'll probably be finishing part 2 in a couple of days and be able to talk about that a little bit more next week.
I realized that I think that one of the things about Jojo that I like so much is the thing that it shares with Star Trek, which is that it's so much about coming up with a crazy sci-fi problem and then having to come up with a clever sci-fi solution for it, even though it's more fantasy in this case. But it's always like, here's this thing. You can't just brute force your way through this.
Right.
You can't DBZ, scream, and power up and punch your way out of this. You have to be smarter. You have to be clever. You have to use the tools you have on hand.
Right. Exactly. Like there was this part I was watching earlier where Jojo was having a fight with Wamu in a gladiator arena on horseback, and each one of them got a crossbow. And Jojo chose to take the larger crossbow, and he couldn't even pull that thing back to cock it.
Right.
But after he got hit by Wamu and his smaller crossbow, which he was able to easily pull back and fire, he used the impact from falling to the ground in order to cock his larger crossbow. And because of that, he was able to get a sneak attack in on Wamu and finally defeat him.
By launching the bolt around the rim of the arena to knock off the specific part of the wall that was able to deflect the ball in the correct direction that Wamu had used against him in the first place.
Yep, that's how Wamu hit him.
Crazy geometry.
Crazy billiards move.
I don't know when it was, but one time when I was watching, while Sam was watching, there was this point where he was like falling and there was no hope, and then suddenly there's just a weapon that he kicked down falling next to him, and I'm like, man, Max described this to me, and I'm like, that'd be hilarious if that happened. And then it happened exactly as you described it.
That's right, because when you're reading, you're like, wow, they're saying a lot of things during this short one-story fall. And then you watch the anime, and they do it the exact same way.
Yeah.
Like, any amount of things can happen. And to me, that may have been the inspiration for some of the powers that Araki came up with later, because when you make stopping time and doing whatever you want in time stop, like a power within the narrative, I feel like that's directly addressing like that sort of thing.
Right, like maybe they were doing it but didn't notice it, and that's why it took 10 minutes to fall one story.
Right. Well, no, not just that. Just like he saw what he was doing before, and he wanted to give a reason for that actually makes sense.
They have like a really slow episode, like it's like DBZ, and they're just charging up the whole time, and then suddenly out of nowhere someone comes in and punches through, and it's just like, my power is to get the story back on track.
Yeah, that sounds like DBZ. But is that all you wanted to say about Jojo?
I'll have more to say later.
Cool. So the other thing, you didn't watch anything, right, Will?
I did not.
The other thing that I watched this week was the premiere of the 2nd season of HBO's Westworld.
Nice.
All right.
I was a big fan of the first season.
Very popular.
That was basically a real puzzle box of a season the first time. It's with multiple timelines and as much cryptic dialogue as you can possibly want. It's such a Jonathan Nolan thing. Like, you can just feel like that this is the kind of thing that he's been waiting his entire career to do.
Right.
Brother of Christopher Nolan helped write... what's the one with Leonardo DiCaprio going into people's dreams? And
what is that?
You know that one.
Oh, Inception.
Inception.
Yes.
Yeah, this is like that to the nth degree, and so much of it is about artificial intelligence and what artificial intelligence can be and do. It just goes to some real cool places. Now, that said, because the show is such a puzzle box, I am hesitant to overly judge anything about it from watching just the first episode of the season, because there's definitely already some more timey-wiminess going on. And lots of weird stuff that might not make sense now, but seems like it could probably make sense later. But it was still real entertaining, very compelling. Anthony Hopkins isn't on this season. He was only on the first season, so that's kind of a loss because he's always very entertaining. Mm-hmm. But everybody else is still pretty cool, and we're starting to get some hints about maybe some of the other parks in the area. because we knew that Westworld wasn't the only park that Delos serviced. And in the finale of the first season, we did see a quick glimpse of Samurai World when they just walk through the under part of that, and we see guys in samurai outfits instead of Western tack.
Cool.
And in this episode, they find a random Bengal tiger that shouldn't be in the Westworld zone. That's from Zone 6, which online sleuths have determined is Raj World, which that's going to be some sort of Indian-themed,
I'm cool with that.
going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm definitely going to be sticking with that. And this is one where I may not try to spoil too much as it goes because, again, this is a real...
But Max, they won't be getting their spoilers anywhere else.
Well, it's true, but this is the one other show, man, where every time I watch an episode, I immediately have to hop on Reddit and start to see how people have been breaking it down because there are so many levels of detail that people are managing to catch that it's real crazy stuff.
The best kinds of shows, like any show where there's 10 details in every episode that are precursors for the real hardcore fans, is going to be just a great nerd show.
Yeah, and you have to be paying attention for all sorts of things. Like, man, isn't it weird that they didn't offer that guy a glass of water? Like, that is legitimately a huge possible clue about things in the first episode. The fact that they find this guy on the beach and they don't ask him if he's okay or offer him a blanket or a glass of water. They just immediately start making him do stuff. So
interesting.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
That waiter doesn't like that guy. He didn't offer him a glass of water.
Yeah, you got to be paying real close attention because when you've got two definite timelines happening that you aren't sure exactly how far apart they are, you got to be paying attention for if people are wearing different clothes in different scenes because that's going to be your clue about which timeline you're seeing. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
And this weird corporate espionage angle where it seems like the company behind the park may be trying to steal everybody's DNA and memories and bodily fluids so that they can create perfect robot duplicates and take over the world.
Hey, fun. That's the actual future.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right? This show is real scary like that.
Action Jones predicted this 10 years ago.
Well, Westworld is an old movie. That Itchy and Scratchy Parkland episode of The Simpsons is 100% the old Westworld movie.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then I'm very familiar.
Right.
They-
It's Scratchy Land.
Including in Westworld, it is by camera flashes that they're short-circuiting the robots in order to escape. So,
Simpsons.
yeah.
They do it all.
Really, they have done it.
And so, yeah, that's all I really watched.
All right. Well, this is the weekly, like Sundays, HBO? Westworld?
Yeah, that is on HBO.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I might have to catch up on that first season. I know that we have, like, the DVD, right?
Yeah, you guys need to rock it through that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think
And,
that's a real good idea.
And then, I've got a home box office account, so we can definitely be watching any of that stuff.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
shall we get on to character rankings?
yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Yes, all right. So we're going to have a lot of fun today because as fun as ranking a bunch of heroes is, villains are always so entertaining, aren't they?
Oh, really?
So
Everyone loves a villain.
we got two definite all-stars, real top shooters here, and one where we're going to I really wonder where he's going to end up. But the first one on the list is Gul Dukat.
Oh, man, was there ever a villain that represented his species more in Star Trek
Then Gul Dukat?
than Gul Dukat?
I mean, he did play more than one Cardassian on Star Trek.
Well, he played the first Cardassian
Yeah.
on Star Trek.
And they were like, first thought, best thought.
Yeah, really.
This guy's neck is crazy. We got to get him back.
I know. There's just so much neck there. It goes on for miles.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so true. Like, CG couldn't give you an effect that good and that alien. He really seems like he has too much neck.
It's
Oh, yeah.
true. And some of the best makeup, to be fair, because it's like that neck makeup is so good.
You really believe that these things used to be lizards.
Yeah, exactly. They're perfect.
So, I think that the first person we need to rank Gul Dukat against here, honestly, is whether or not he's better than Wayun.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. But is he better than Tuvok?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm starting too low here.
You're starting
Yeah,
too low
you are
because
starting too low.
Is he better or worse than Quark?
I'm gonna go with a solid better because Gul Dukat makes Deep Space Nine so much.
I'm gonna also have to go with better just because of his duality with Captain Sisko. It's compelling. His insanity, it's compelling. He does a great job. His performance is wonderful through the entire show.
But what about the root beer scene?
I know. But I mean,
Root beer scene.
okay, so
I mean, Quark does some embarrassing things, but he never needs Kira to pull a big thorn out of his ass.
we get a lot of Quark, and so we get some wonderful Quark, but he's just so good anytime he shows up. Dukat, I mean.
Yeah.
Dukat is just, he's so enjoyable. He's so evil and ruthless. And those last 2 seasons, it's just, it's art.
I feel like the Paw Wraith stuff lowers him a little bit.
Does lower him a little bit. I feel like.
Well, at the very
before
end.
he
The
turns
very
himself
end. But, like, a lot of the stuff going on those seasons, we're getting a lot more Dukat.
Yeah.
And in general, he's just always enjoyable.
And he even is occasionally presented as more of an antagonist than a villain. Like, he's around, things are going to be mixed up, but he's not necessarily going to be, doing anything evil. I mean, that episode where he's on the crappy ship and Kira goes onto the ship and they end up working their way up to a much better ship using guile and wits.
taking out those Klingons.
Like, that might be my favorite Kira episode.
No, that's true.
All right, so I'll take him above Quark, but is Gul Dukat better than James Tiberius Kirk?
I don't think so.
I thought you guys were going to say that. I think he is, but we can put it below because I think that's fair.
I think that Gul Dukat, for all of his greatness, he's not James Tiberius Kirk. Guys.
Well,
Kirk.
Right.
Kirk.
Well, I'm not the Kirk guy, so that's fair.
Gul Dukat comes in at number 8.
All right.
Might be the best villain of all.
Well, hold that thought.
All right.
Because next on our list is Khan Noonien Singh.
He's a pretty good character.
Oh, man, come on. He goes... like, Dukat wouldn't go down quoting Shakespeare and spitting hell at his enemy like that. Khan has a far better death. Gul Dukat goes out kind of like a bitch.
Well, yeah, that's true. He does.
But, oh, man, and Khan, like, outsmarting Kirk and stranding him on that world.
Yeah, he's super smart. He's super strong.
Yeah, he's a good character.
I mean...
he's cool.
The only thing that I could see putting Khan above Dukat, or below Dukat, is Star Trek Into Darkness, which really does a lot of damage to Khan as a character.
Okay, well, so it's definitely true that I'm biased towards Deep Space Nine and Secondary Enterprise. I have seen
Star Trek 2?
Wrath of Khan. Yes,
Yeah.
I have seen Wrath of Khan. The thing is, I still like Dukat more because of my bias. Like, I'm not going to say that he's a better character, but I gotta rate Dukat higher.
Well, I think it's on you.
Well,
It's a hard one.
I mean, do you think is Khan even there? Do you think that he even goes lower? Is Khan better than Quark?
is Khan better than... I'd say Khan is probably a little bit better than Quark. He's definitely more important.
Here's the thing. I love Quark, but you could also take Quark away.
Yeah.
Still have Deep Space Nine.
And there would be all sorts of amazing stuff. But without Khan...
Yeah.
So, like, that... Oh, God. Kirk screaming Khan.
And
Like,
Right.
Deep Space Nine is good, but I don't know. Like, if you ask me, do you have either Deep Space Nine or Star Trek 2? Like, I don't know if I would take DS9 to the island, you know what I mean?
This is a lot of my logic for putting Gul Dukat above Quark, is the fact that I feel like you could pull Quark out of the show easier than Gul Dukat. And so I think, well, it's up to Sam in the end, but I think going right in that little slot there is pretty perfect.
Yeah, I'll say that's a good place to put him.
Where?
Right below Gul Dukat, above Quark.
Yeah, I'd say so.
You're taking Dukat over Khan?
I'd take Dukat over Khan.
All right.
We got a lot
It's done.
more of Dukat, and like you said, Into Darkness doesn't do him any favors.
Yeah, no favors.
You know, I'm not only do I have a little bit of bias towards Deep Space Nine, but I also have a little bit of bias towards characters who are aliens who are played super well. Whereas Khan's he's more of a genetically enhanced human. It's not as compelling to me as just a great representation of an alien race, which is what I think Dukat gives us.
I won't protest.
All right, I think we came to a good conclusion.
All right.
And what else you got there?
Last
Oh, no.
and least of this list, Captain Gabriel Lorca.
What?
Mirror universe.
Mirror universe? Oh, okay. So we are rating a mirror universe because he's a villain.
He is a villain.
That is
Wow.
true. He was a villain.
You know, this is interesting.
This is a character we can rank
This
because
is,
he showed up quite a bit.
This is a real curveball.
And he's almost an anti-hero because he is a protagonist for so much.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
He does carry a lot of the show on him, but that's not actually saying that much. And like he's an enjoyable character to watch for that show.
And because Jason Isaacs is freaking magnetic.
Right.
Yes, exactly. He did a great job overall, but I won't rank him too high because I'm just not that interested in him in general. I'm not that engaged.
Once he actually goes evil, he's a little bit too much of a mustache twirler.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is traditional for the Mirror Universe. Like, they're all, like, really over-the-top theatrical villains. But it kind of does a disservice to the subtlety with which he was playing the role. And how much less interesting that twist is than the idea that this captain was really just this hardcore Starfleet captain who like has PTSD and is like willing to do harsh things but is damn effective.
Right. I'd say for the character himself ranks low. The acting of the character ranks high.
Which is also a thing with Khan, honestly. Is he ranks very high both because the character's cool, but also because he's... Ricardo Montalban acted the shit out of Khan.
Yeah,
right.
Even I know that.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree Lorca isn't going to be very high. Like, for example, I wouldn't put Lorca above Shran.
I would not.
Looking even lower, I don't know if I'd put Lorca above Brunt.
What about Ash Tyler?
That's the real question. Is Lorca a better character than Ash Tyler?
Okay, so
I say yes.
Yeah.
Here's my problem. Okay, you're right. I'm going to agree with you, but I'm just going to add that Ash Tyler got a lot better at the end of the season.
As
could become a better character.
It's very true. As Lorca got worse, Tyler got better.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, yeah.
Captain Gabriel Lorca Mirror. At number 22.
Wasn't it supposed to be above? Wait.
Oh.
What did we just agree on? Above, right? Above. Yeah.
That he's better.
Slightly above, yes.
Yes. We did. We just said that Ash Tyler might get better.
Right.
Okay.
We might eventually have to move him up above Lorca because we only get the one season of Lorca.
Right. But this one we can rank because be dead.
Right.
Spoilers.
Hey, and I got some good news.
Yes.
I started working on my blog on Monday, so we can actually start hosting these lists online pretty soon.
Excellent. Yeah, so
cool,
people can see the work we've done so far on our list of, 27 characters?
27, not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah. All right, well, I think that takes care of ratings.
All right, so should we take a little break, Will?
Yeah, a quick break. And we'll be right back, folks.
See ya.
All right, everybody, and we're back to give you some comics and one fantastic Transformer.
Yes, our Transformer of the week this week is going to be a classic Autobot, Blue Streak.
Hey, even I know Blue Streak.
Yeah, he's one of the classic bots from the old series. He's usually second banana to Prowl because they usually turn into similar cars, and so typically any Blue Streak toy you get is just a repaint of whatever Prowl mold. So that is in fact what this is. The cool thing about this one though is that I opted for the alternate color scheme, which is often dubbed by the fans Silver Streak, because this version of Blue Streak doesn't have any of the blue coloring that Blue Streak normally would have.
I was gonna ask.
But yeah, normally like the whole top of the hood of the car and like the back is blue and then he has silver on the sides. But yeah, I enjoyed the look of Silver Streak, so I decided to go with that version.
He looks real sleek.
He becomes a Porsche.
Yes.
Awesome.
Some kind of Porsche.
Yeah, obviously not traditional.
yeah, it's probably a look-alike.
Right.
But I think this was the second Autobot Masterpiece mold after the original Masterpiece Optimus Prime.
Oh, wow.
And it's great. Yeah, the car it turns into is real accurate, and obviously the robot mode is basically animation accurate. That's what he looks like in the cartoon.
No, I was
good
readjusting him a little bit when we first brought him in here, and he also seemed to function pretty well overall. I didn't feel like anything was going to break, which I do sometimes.
Yeah, he's real solid. It's funny because the Prowl I have is actually it's not an official Masterpiece Prowl. It was the first one I ever got, and it was actually a knockoff Masterpiece. And it is noticeably looser in the joints, worse paint applications. If you look at them next to each other, you can definitely tell which one is the legit one.
Hey, well, that's what you get.
Yeah.
Knockoffs.
Yeah.
But moving on to the comics of the week. Let's start with a couple that I read. I want to start with the 11th issue of Doom Patrol. It's been a while since we got a new issue of Doom Patrol. It took a little break during that whole Milk Wars fiasco. And this issue kind of is a capper to Milk Wars, even though I think it actually takes place beforehand. Because Robot Man is still a robot in this, and at the end of Milk Wars, he's been given a human form. Okay. There's some interesting ideas at play here. The main villain is this guy who you don't see because his image is withheld due to copyright, so he's just displayed as like a white space on the page. And you do learn his origin about how he was a corporate-designed superhero who was created, but then due to some litigation, the company lost the rights to him, and like everything with his image on it had to be destroyed. So his image is no longer out there in any way, which is why he appears as a white void.
Right, with the words "image withheld due to copyright" right on his white void.
Yep, exactly. And we get his little backstory about how he took over the space station operated by the Retcon agency, which was responsible for the whole Milk Wars thing.
Right.
Which is that he killed the god of superheroes using his only weakness, a brick that could think.
Weird.
So yeah, we get the results of that whole thing while Mr. Nobody is being recruited to take over for Retcon as the agency. And we find out what the agency is supposed to do, which is that there's this set of omnipotent gods whose job it is to destroy all of reality. But they value entertainment more than anything else. So this Retcon agency basically floats around and beams them entertainment images. And that's what this whole Milk Wars and like all the other stuff they've been up to has been about. But now the people of Retcon are getting rid of this weirdo Void guy, and instead we're going to get Nobody TV, because Mr. Nobody and his Brotherhood of Nada would love nothing more than to be the ultimate entertainer for a bunch of gods doing completely random shit all the time. Or so he thinks, because as soon as he agrees to do it, his entire team ditches him and says, we don't want to do that. But, yeah, I mean, the Nick Darrington art is very good, but it's just so wacky that it's sometimes hard to get a handle on.
It seems a little bit like it's up to level 10 on the ridiculous scale.
It's definitely going for ultimate ridiculousness, but it doesn't quite have that through line that the truly ridiculous needs.
There's some things like Sea Guy that are just ridiculous, but completely comprehensible at the same time.
Right, exactly. Next up, I picked up the Thanos annual,
all right,
which is written primarily by Donny Cates with some other people, because it takes the form of the Cosmic Ghost Rider, a new character created by Cates, is narrating some stories about what an asshole Thanos is. And so all of the little short stories are like, oh man, you think Thanos was bad because of what he did to Gamora? Oh, well, look at what he did to like this random guy who he just like found on Earth and decided to show up for every one of his birthdays and ruin his life. And
nice.
yeah, and it gets like up to this guy's 45th birthday, and the guy's living alone. Everybody he's ever loved has been killed or left him, and he can't keep a job and nothing. And he has this little monologue about how, like, I finally understand that you want to know why I keep fighting you, Thanos. Like, and here's the reason why I continue, even though I know you're going to come by and ruin my life all the time. Da, da, da. And Thanos goes, no, I don't care. And he punches a hole in the guy's roof so that all this water can fill it. And pieces out.
Whoa.
We get a couple pages of Thanos just destroying a bunch of planets to try to impress Death.
Yeah, that's nice.
Just to create a nice little thing in the sky. We get a little story about the entire like art or cultural backstory of that planet before Thanos blows up their sun. Oof. And there's this weird one where he goes to this cute bunny world and is having interactions with them, and the art annoyed me so much I skipped that one.
That's fair. That's completely fair. They just put a children's comic in the middle of your adult comic.
Right. And we had this weird one about how Thanos helped an old lady across the street once, but because he did that, it led to this other girl never discovering the cure for cancer and world hunger, which she would have had the timeline been allowed to proceed at its correct pace. And then he showed up at that woman's deathbed and gave her a vision of everything he took from her by doing that, and then just peaced out.
What? Why is he such a dick?
Well, it's Thanos, man.
I know, but still.
So it's a fun little issue. And
that really is a lot more of a fun issue than I was expecting.
Yeah, Donny Cates is going to be taking over Venom. This issue of Venom this week was the finale of the Mike Costa run. However, here's a little bit of insider information. While going through the upcoming catalogs for what's going to be available for Marvel in the coming months, there's a mystery title with no cover and no description called Venom, the Original Host. And there is a description on Amazon that indicates a story about the original host of the Venom symbiote comes to Earth and has to team up with Eddie Brock to do something. It's by Costa and Bagley. So, even though the main Venom series is going to be switching to its own thing and starting new #1, which is getting a huge amount of hype online because of the art and because Cates is such an excellent writer.
Yeah.
I mean, the artist on Twitter has been hilarious, constantly posting images and being like, guys, I can't believe how much better than Watchmen this is.
Damn, that's a smack to the face.
But that said, we are going to be getting more Costa, Bagley, Venom, and I'm honestly interested to see what they do as well.
At the beginning of the run,
and let's just go into talking about it.
Yeah, let's just talk about it. But yeah, I feel like it's really come to fruition over the many issues that Venom has been running. It's interesting because not only did it span Anti-Venom, which has gone on to be a part of Venomized,
right?
But many of the characters are now showing up in both.
Right. Scorpion.
Scorpion, for one. He shows up in the most recent issue because he wants the child of the Venom symbiote. I mean, Sym-byote.
No!
Really. I don't really mean Sym-byote. Yeah, but...
that was in, the trailer, right? The Venom trailer? Where did we hear Sym-byote?
No, yeah, it was the new Venom trailer where they were constantly pronouncing it. It's a Sym-byote.
Oh.
That's a problem.
Yep.
Yeah, but this was a good issue overall. The Venom symbiote does indeed give birth in this one. It's a little different than its previous births, seemingly because of how linked it is to Eddie now. He's able to feel the pregnancy, and it's a little bit hard for him.
Right, and we have the suit reveal that the reason it didn't tell anybody, or especially Eddie, that it was pregnant is because all of its other children have turned out to be vicious psychopaths.
Yeah.
And so it was nervous about what would happen.
Well, it's pretty clear that the Venom symbiote has some emotional problems it needs to deal with.
Yeah.
It's had a rough time of it. And hopefully Eddie and it working together again will be able to calm it and work out these issues. But then to stop Scorpion at the end of this issue from getting the new Venom symbiote, the doctor comes up with a little bit of goo and pronounces that it was a stillbirth, much to everyone's dismay.
Yeah.
But then by the end of the issue, it seems like that was just a trick.
A ruse!
A ruse. And now they're going to raise a new symbiote with no host until Venom deems it's ready. Keep it at the lab.
And I really wonder how much of this is lead up for the new series or if they're just leaving stuff for themselves for later.
Right.
This is really funny because you don't sound disappointed at all. You sound like you liked this comic, but everything you're describing is something that some SJW could come into the Venom series and implement it to make it more SJW. So they really skirted the line, and they must have done it really well.
And it's funny because Spider-Woman is in here, and she's in her new costume design, which is definitely one of the new costume designs by the New Guard, where they were going heavily that direction. But I mean, she works in this, and nobody's wasting time talking about stupid shit.
No.
The whole pregnancy angle is there, but it's handled in a dramatic action comic way.
He's struggling because of the pregnancy. It's really weighing him down.
It causes it so that Eddie, without his symbiote, has to fight Scorpion for a little bit, and that's it's heartfelt. He's willing to die to protect the symbiote,
and that's good.
This cover, though, I gotta say, is highly misleading. Nothing even close to like this happens. Like, it looks like Eddie, as Venom, is facing off against Venom.
Yeah.
From the inside of the... This is a complete lie.
Yeah, it's strange.
But let's move straight from there to the fourth and penultimate issue of Venomized.
Yeah, this was such an action issue. I mean, just everything that's going on is just action-packed right here. So Carnage is on the loose. He's been made into a poison, so there's danger there. Thanos comes down, and he is also a poison.
Speaking of Thanos.
Yeah, there's a little bit of them trying to make a plan with Venom and Anti-Venom and Spider-Man there, and Spider-Man seems like he's a little cooler with Venom now, but he's still kind of being a dick to him.
Yeah. But it does. We do get the reveal that it's possible that Jean Grey wasn't absorbed and destroyed by her poison host. It still could be a ruse, but to me, the fact that she didn't say anything about it and then telepathically reached out really made it seem like she's in there somewhere. And the book itself seems to be really wanting to hint in the direction of there being some way to reverse the whole poisons thing, because the characters talk about it a couple times. Like, oh, there's got to be another way. Oh, are you sure they're destroyed, Eddie? Like, from your previous experiences?
Right, and it seems like some of the original people that the hosts of the poisons that they've now eaten knew are, like, speaking to them as ghosts. Like, I know we got a little bit of Professor X talking to the Jean Grey poison. And, like,
that I didn't understand, honestly.
Right.
Because, yeah, why would she... It seemed like she was seeing a vision that one of the little poison, like, mite things...
was providing...
Right, but that didn't really make sense in the context.
Right, I'm confused by this as well.
Oh, yeah,
so
I can't find that either.
Well, we're gonna have to figure this out eventually.
But yeah, it's still pretty entertaining. I mean, it's definitely going full like popcorn movie comic style. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is the poisons attempting to control Jean, but maybe she isn't fully falling for it.
Okay, so they're sending her visions of Professor Xavier.
Right.
Possibly.
Because it does seem like Thanos is seeing death, and so is Doom, right? But they're seeing different versions.
Yeah, no, it does seem like that is what's going on.
So yeah, there's something about the poisons that doesn't quite make sense. Like, they should be Borgy in some way, but it's not quite set that they're like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really am wondering how much of them will be further expanded upon going forward. But this issue does tease us with Poison Thanos versus all of the monsters that Kaiju Kid is able to conjure.
Right, he does seem to just pop them into existence.
In one point, he looks like he's writing in a notebook, and that's causing one to be created, maybe? I really am very interested now in this character of Kaiju Kid.
Yeah.
I mean, best name.
He is compelling, and the monsters that he spawns to fight Thanos on the last page here look pretty awesome. We got like giant robot guy.
But how much is this a Pacific Rim Jaeger?
Right, exactly. Jaeger got like some armored, huge woman, warrior.
Yeah,
woman.
with sort of like a Galactus helmet almost.
Yeah, and then like a bug guy and a dragon guy, but they're all like humanoid.
Right,
guys.
yeah. Right, they all could be guys in big rubber suits,
right.
as any good kaiju is.
Right, exactly.
It's a necessity.
Very cool. Looking forward to the next issue and to finally see if they can pull this all together to make it make sense and reveal the things that we don't know.
Yeah, that's a lot like the first time the poisons showed up in Venomverse, where it's like they spend all 4 issues really setting up the hopelessness level, and then the issue came along and was like, we farted at the ending. I'm really hoping this doesn't happen to this one.
Let's hope.
Yeah, come on, professional comic book writer Cullen Bunn.
We will see.
All right. One other one that only I read was the 14th issue of Exo Manowar, which is almost like a soft reset because we're fully done on that other planet where Arik was influencing the politics and going to war and creating all these weird situations and getting married on a farm with this lady and being betrayed. Yeah, it was 13 issues.
All right.
But in this one, Arik is heading for Earth. He receives some sort of a garbled signal from Earth telling him to return, And he decides to head that way using a gravimetric slingshot around a black hole in order to make the trip take days instead of weeks.
Oh my god.
He basically just shows some flashbacks that explain why Arik left Earth in the first place, which hadn't been revealed yet.
Yeah.
It turns out that he had a child with his girlfriend on Earth, but excess radiation from the Manowar armor caused the child to get leukemia and die. So, because he wasn't willing to ditch the armor, his wife kicked him out of the house and he left.
Wow.
Arik returns to Earth. The armor tells him that it is evolved and it is now fully capable of shedding all astral radiation. And Arik takes it through a couple of tests to be sure before he approaches anybody he knows. And then he returns to his home to go and see his old girlfriend after all these years, and walks in, and she's got a new kid with his old best friend.
Ooh. Of course.
Yeah.
How could it go any other way?
Yep. And but Livewire from the main Valiant series shows up and says that there's some big shit going down, and I guess this is leading directly into the Second Harbinger War.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we'll see. I don't know if I'll be picking that up. But I'll definitely be picking up the Exo Manowar tie-ins.
All right.
Cool.
So overall, you enjoyed it?
Overall, I enjoyed it. It's another solid issue of Exo Manowar. I mean, the art is excellent. It's Ariel Olivetti, who is one of those guys who I really like, but a lot of people really don't, and I can kind of understand why. It's sort of an overly painted style. But,
No, like every single one
really
could be a painting on somebody's wall.
Right, yeah. And a lot of people don't like the level of digital that he uses. But I gotta be honest, I really like his stuff. He draws a lot of the better Carnage series that I've talked about in the past, where he's really good at doing the symbiote and everything. And you can even kind of see it in one of the pages here when Arik tells Shannara the armor to get off of him. You can see how good he is at doing.
Oh yeah, it's just like a symbiote.
Because when it comes down to it, Exo Manowar is essentially a combination of Venom and Iron Man.
Yeah, no, it's so true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool combo.
And Conan.
In the best version, where the Venom can slowly become more Iron Man.
Right. All right, so Sam, you read issue 190 of Moon Knight by Max Bemis.
That's what I did. This one was also kind of about a girlfriend.
Right.
But also it's the reveal of what Jake Lockley has been hiding from the rest of Moon Knight.
Right.
Which is that he has been going and visiting Jake Spector's old girlfriend. And without Jake Spector knowing this, he hasn't seen her in many years.
Yeah. As far as he knows.
Yeah, but she calls him up in this episode because Ra has come to her house, seemingly to get to Moon Knight. But while there, it's then revealed that she has a kid with
Jake Lockley.
Which, oh my god, that's gotta be a hard pill to swallow for Mark Spector. And with Ra coming here to reveal this all to him is just showing how much of a evil person Ra is when it comes to Moon Knight.
That's cruel.
I gotta be honest, when I read this issue the first time a couple of weeks ago, we got to that last page reveal, and I was like, oh god. And I actually didn't read the next, even though I bought them, I didn't read the next two issues that came out right when I bought them, because I was like, oh god, where's this gonna go? And it ends up being pretty cool.
All right. That's good, because mostly it's just like, god damn, that sucks.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah, is there anything else you wanted to say about Moon Knight?
Not right now.
All right, Will, we have gone back to Jonathan Hickman's Manhattan Projects.
Yeah, so I've had a lot of comics for a couple weeks, but this week I actually only read one, which is the 10th issue of Manhattan Projects.
Now, there was an earlier issue of Manhattan Projects where I believe the title was Infinite Oppenheimers?
That's the first issue, actually.
Right.
And so that was like an arc, and that arc ended in the last issue, where they kind of said, we're rich, we can do whatever we want, we solved the problem, we have access to the whole universe.
Right.
So it's like, where does it go from here? Because they can technically do anything.
Literally.
And this issue gave me almost no insight into the future of this series, because it is a tribute to Oppenheimer. It is the finite Oppenheimer. Or finite. Finite. And it is well, first of all, the writing in this issue is superb. Like, this might be the best written issue so far. But the art is great too, and it's kind of just a weird issue in general because it's Oppenheimer trapped within his brother's mind, but there's also the infinite Oppenheimer thing going on inside of the mind, where all of them are like the different realities, beings that live within his brain, essentially.
This is very much almost like Legion, in fact.
Yeah.
In the way that, he has all these different, highly distinct personalities. Ew.
Yeah. At one point in this comic, he cuts off the face of his horse, but he continues to ride the horse throughout the comic, and later on he actually roasts the head of the horse while sitting next to the horse that he can still ride, and it gets to a really weird point where you don't know what's going on, but this is fascinating stuff, and they're building up to something really interesting.
Now, Ryan Brown guested for the art on this issue, and he's responsible for a very funny comic series called God Hates Astronauts, which is basically a bunch of really ridiculous superheroes who call each other asshole all the time. But it's got this great thing with the red Oppenheimer versus blue Oppenheimer war taking place within the reality, with the last big reveal being that blue Oppenheimer, by cutting out the eyes of red Oppenheimer, is able to turn him into another blue Oppenheimer.
And this starts an actual war within the Oppenheimer mind that can choose the future of Joseph Oppenheimer.
Yeah, the final caption in the issue is, "And the Oppenheimer Civil War began."
Yeah, really, a good issue. Don't tell me, but I kind of feel like the next issue is not going to be in any way related to this. But if it is, I will not be disappointed.
I won't tell you anything.
All right.
Because I don't remember. I have theories, but I don't remember.
I'm going to need the rest of those issues.
Oh, are you out?
I'm out.
Oh,
I got through all 10 in the package you gave me, impressively enough. I'm really making some distance.
All right, well, we have to dip in, I guess.
All right.
All right, last, and not least, was
not
the issue 3 of The Terrifics by Jeff Lemire, and Evan Reese is already off the art duties, it looks like. And who is this guy? Bennett. Where did we... Oh, yeah, it's Joe Bennett, who I thought his art style was fine. It wasn't a big jump. Yeah,
I think
it's very comic.
Yeah.
Terrifics continues to be fantastic. And I also felt like this issue was showing how, no, this is not the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, these people do not like each other. Mr. Terrific is not interested in being everybody's dad. Metamorpho is very much like the Thing, though.
He is, but the move that he does with Plastic Man in this one, where Plastic Man turns himself into a giant slingshot and Metamorpho turns himself into a huge ball bearing, is hilarious.
I stared at this page for a good 30 seconds trying to figure out what the hell Plastic Man is turning into.
I know. And then for Metamorpho to give the line, "Oh my god, this is so humiliating," as it becomes the ammo.
And of course they throw in a little rib at the X-Men here because, of course, the classic X-Men maneuver where Colossus throws Wolverine at somebody is called the fastball special.
Right.
And so Plastic Man dubs this move the hardball special.
Yeah. And then in this one, the cover is exactly what's going on in this comic.
The Terrifics fight the War Wheel.
The War Wheel. And the War Wheel's hilarious, especially when they're charging out to face it in the first place, and Plastic Man becomes a little mini War Wheel of himself.
Yeah. He's like, "Don't worry, Rex, I got this."
Oh, yeah. It's just, it's very entertaining all the way through.
Yeah, the amount of motion that Plastic Man is in all the time, the number of things that he turns into is very satisfying. Like, I'm never disappointed by... It's like Plastic Man turns into a giant Go Plastics Go sign. Like, and not even just the sign, he's just the lettering.
Right. No,
it's just a giant font.
It's really smart of them to never have him just standing still at a normal angle, because it's like even here he's bending his neck all over the place and stuff, and that's what you want to see. That creates interest.
When he's eating the giant sandwich of his torso.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that one is so weird.
Plastic.
Yeah, he's definitely the comedy relief right here.
As a Plastic Man fan, you might be really interested in reading the 14-issue Plastic Man solo series by Kyle Baker, which is very cartoony.
I actually probably would really enjoy that.
And it goes into his origin. Like, it's one of those, like, we go back into and, like, really expand on the origin stuff while doing other future stuff. It's very good, yeah.
How old is Plastic Man? Like, how long has he really been around?
He's Silver Age. I think he's from the 50s.
So compared to some of the other stretchers, is he like the original?
I don't know if Plastic Man or Elongated Man came first, but Mr. Fantastic definitely came after both Plastic Man and Elongated Man.
All right. So basically they just got worse with the stretchy people as the years went on.
I will never rank Elongated Man above Reed Richards.
I don't know Elongated Man.
Yeah, exactly. Right. He's just a detective. Ralph Dibney.
Okay.
Stretchy detective.
Yeah.
But Plastic Man may be the best of them.
Plastic Man I would rank slightly higher than Reed Richards.
Yeah, he's just so good.
Reed Richards is kind of boring overall.
Once in a while, the artists will have Reed be doing some really cool stuff with his body, but it always is like he can flatten himself, he can rubber band himself. He's never doing the things that Plastic Man does. Plastic Man is just, he's wacky, man. That's a wacky character.
Reed Richards is more about his mind. Plastic Man is all about what can I become? What creative, silly thing can I make myself into to get out of this mess?
Right. It's possible that Plastic Man isn't even fully always like making the decision. He's just like constantly going with whatever his subconscious is telling him to be at a given time. Just like, oh,
yeah, those complicated motions for sure.
So the last thing,
yes.
comics-wise, I don't have a physical copy because I'm buying this digitally, but issue 3 of Bloodborne came out.
All right.
Okay.
How is it?
Fine.
It's fine. It's just more of the same?
Well, I will give them credit for one thing, which is that in the first issue, they make it seem like they're changing the lore from the game. Mm-hmm. Because in the game, you eventually find out, if you do enough digging into the details, that, I don't know how much of this is a spoiler because nobody's confirmed it, but all the clues seem to indicate that when they're talking about pale blood in Bloodborne, they're actually talking about the moon presence, the god. Pale blood is its name.
Okay.
The first issue of the comic made it seem like they were going to, like, he found this boy who bled silver, and they're like, this is a pale blood. Like, this is the thing we're looking for. So it seemed like it was going to take this and, like, completely go another direction with it. But in this issue, we have the hunter being unsure. It was like, can his blood be... That doesn't seem to make sense with blood. I feel like I know about pale blood. Like, so I'm hoping that it's going to course correct and will actually be a more accurate depiction of the game. But it does do some cool things from the game. Like, the boy looks up at the roof of a cathedral and is like, what about that monster? You're not worried about that monster? And the hunter's like, there's no monster there. And then it does the fade out and you see the big amygdala, where in the game you can't see them at first, but later when you gain enough insight, you can see that they've been there all along. So it's definitely doing cool stuff from the game.
They have to do something so that the fans of the game, who are obviously their main target, have something to really be interested in, and it's not just a recreation of everything the fans already know.
Well, I think the fans would even appreciate a recreation of everything they already know in comic form, because what we've gotten so far in, like, the 4 Dark Souls adaptations that have come out so far is that whoever was doing those adaptations was like, I don't know anything about Dark Souls, and I don't think any of the readers know anything about Dark Souls, so I'm just going to do whatever I want. Oh, here's a name from Dark Souls, I'm going to use that on a character. And then he picks his Aldrich, which is, like, a giant slime in Dark Souls, but it's just like a dude in the comic.
Wait, what? You can't do that,
right?
Everybody knows Aldrich.
Aldrich did start out as a guy, and so people reading the comic were like, "Oh, well, so maybe we're saying the origins of Aldrich," but then they do stuff with that character where it's like, "Well, this clearly is not Aldrich."
Oh man, what a disappointment!
Indeed, yeah. You know how big of a Dark Souls
the
fan
worst
comics guy I am.
Yeah, what is that about? People coming in to create something that has a fan base and not respect the fans enough to find out what they love about that.
Yeah.
The people who do this don't think enough.
I believe it's George Mann is the author of all those Dark Souls books, and he seems like a gun for hire.
Okay, yeah, doesn't think enough.
I think he does have his own fantasy stuff, which I imagine probably is more well thought out.
Yeah, that's true. This is just fun in an end for the paycheck.
And he's using his name. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Freelance.
Well, guys, I think that this has been a good show.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, thanks a lot for joining us, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. If you'd be interested in engaging further with our content, then you can feel free to check us out on Libsyn at LAAG Entertainment. That's LAAG Entertainment. You can follow us on YouTube at LAAG Entertainment. That would be great. We'd love that follow. And then you can always get our podcasts in that video form, which is our lovely logo. You can follow
professionally designed by an official Hollywood logo designer.
Yes, indeed. You can go ahead and follow us on Twitter at _lag. That's LAAG again, because we're the league of above average gamers, of course. And then Lag Entertainment on at gmail.com. Lagentertainment at gmail.com if you have any comments, concerns, or anything interesting to say to us, any questions.
Do you check that email?
I do check that email.
Okay, yeah, so no emails yet.
No emails as of yet.
But if we get any emails, we'd probably be willing to read them on the show, right?
Oh yeah, but of course, we might want to, like, if we start to see one roll in, we might wait a little bit, see if we get 2 or 3, and then we can make it into a thing.
No. Send us an email. Send us an email, people. I'll read it on air. I don't care what this guy's saying.
Well, then you'll have to find access to the email. Sparks. Oh, anyway, we really will read your emails, so check us out, and thank you so much for listening. You're what makes this podcast work. Make sure to recommend it to all your friends, to your family, send it out through Twitter, send it through random emails, set up a spam bot to just email people at random through a list that you buy through some website for, $30. That'd be great. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful week.
If you think they'd like it, you should do that.